All right, so my name's Agam, and Wilson's interviewing me. He's my roommate. I chose him because I just think he's going for similar careers, so it'd be a good person to interview me. So yeah, we're gonna start.
All right. Tell me about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so my name's Agam. I grew up in Downers Grove, Illinois, around 40 minutes outside Chicago. And growing up, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Once I got to high school, I kind of realized that dream wasn't going to happen. I had to find another career that suited me. And both my parents are in the business world. My dad's in finance, my mom's in accounting. So I'd watch Shark Tank with them probably 3 to 4 times a week, and that's where I was really exposed to the business world. What really stood out to me at first was the entrepreneurial mindset that business owners had, along with how many different career choices there were, especially for someone who didn't know what he wanted to do. So with that being said, that drove me to come to Kelly, and once I got on Kelly, I joined a fraternity and a bunch of clubs. And through these clubs and this fraternity, I really got interested in investment banking, and I applied to the investment banking workshop, got into the seminar, and currently I'm recruiting for investment banking roles in Chicago mainly. So yeah.
All right. Describe the management style that will bring forth your best work and efforts.
Yeah, I think a good management style that works with me is guiding me but not telling me exactly what to do. I feel like whenever I get directions that aren't too specific but broader, it allows me to really put my own touch on whatever I'm working on. And I think that that's something that I do effectively, and that management style would be effective with me.
All right. Do you consider yourself to be a big picture person or someone who's more detail oriented? And could you provide an example that demonstrates this preference?
Yeah, I would say something about me is I'm very detail oriented. I would say, especially on PowerPoint, I think an example of this would be in business presentations last year when we were making a PowerPoint on the topic was education in Guatemala. I was the one in charge of slide design and kind of finding graphics that brought out the whole presentation. I think something that I do well, especially in PowerPoint and other presentations, is figure out how to make slides visually appealing. And I think that that's an example of how I'm detail oriented.
All right. Tell me about a time when communication became an issue during a team project.
Yeah, so for an example of this would be my K201 group last year. We had a couple group members that weren't as willing to do the work as others, and communication became a problem as they would fail to come to meetings, wouldn't really text, and wouldn't really work on anything. Something that I did to kind of overcome this challenge was I made sure to keep reminding them and let them know that eventually they had to chip in, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do the final pitch with us and get a good grade in the class. And while I didn't like threatening them or kind of making them do something, I think that you have to have a leadership style that's very enforceable and show people that they can't just push you around. Otherwise, you'll have bad apples that just don't contribute. And that's an example of when I did that.
What have you done to enhance your knowledge or skills related to diversity?
Yeah, so actually a great example of this is I'm currently running for DEI chair of my fraternity. I think that obviously growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, I was definitely exposed to diversity in terms of like school and the work and various jobs that I worked at. And I think that by running for DEI chair, I'll be able to promote this within our fraternity, raise money for diversity, equity, and inclusion, like charities and that sort, and just kind of raise awareness for the importance of diversity, both at school and in the workplace.
All right. Walk me through how you determine priorities and scheduling your time.
Yeah, so something I always keep a calendar with everything on it. It has my classes, and whenever I have something big planned, I'll always put it on my calendar. For deadlines, I use the reminders app on my phone, so I'll usually put them in order of when they're due and in order of importance. And that's the easiest way that I keep track of my things. I think that it's super organized because it gives me a calendar notification whenever I have to do something on my phone and on my laptop. And same thing with the reminders, it pops up on my home screen. So that's just how I keep track of my priorities.
Walk me through how you determine. Oh. Tell me about a time where you had to conform to a policy to which you didn't agree.
Okay, I would say a lot of times that these have happened would be like word limits for essays or kind of like word restrict or require or page requirements. And at the end of the day, like since the teacher gives out an assignment, it's whatever they want in terms of the requirements. So ways that I got around conforming this would either be Whether if it was cutting pages, just being more concise in my writing, or if it was adding pages, I would just try to add another like paragraph of evidence or another body paragraph in order to reach that limit.
All right. Describe your ideal supervisor.
Yeah, my ideal supervisor would be someone that I get along with both in and outside the workplace. Obviously, that's not a requirement, but I think that if I'm able to talk to you about personal things that aren't just work related, I'll have a closer relationship with them. Additionally, an ideal supervisor would be someone that obviously isn't yelling at me all the time or telling me to do things like in a super strict deadline. It'd be someone who'd be willing to kind of work with my schedule and also kind of like work with me and know that what I have going on in and outside of work.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Yeah, so if I was an animal, I think the animal that I would most be like would probably be a dog. I just say a dog because I'm very loyal, and I think that dogs are pretty loyal animals. Additionally, I just think that I don't know. I just like dogs. So yeah, that'd probably be my answer.
All right. Tell me about yourself.
I already did.
Yeah,
No,
that's the next round.
Yeah, just skip that one.
Why did you choose IU in the Kelly School of Business?
Yeah. So when I was deciding between business schools or schools, I know I wanted to study business, and I wanted to stay in the Midwest. So I was kind of between Indiana and Illinois. But being from Illinois, I didn't really want to go to the state school that everyone was going to, and a lot of my good friends were also going to IU, which definitely played into my decision. I'd also say that both of my parents definitely told me that the Kelly brand was more reputed and known than Geese was. Not that Geese is a bad school or anything, but that definitely influenced my decision. And I'd also say that when I visited both campuses, IU really stuck out to me in terms of how beautiful the campus was and how much I could see myself at the school, whereas Illinois I didn't feel the exact same way. However, I think I would have had a great time at both, but that's the reason why I chose Indiana and Kelly in specific.
All right. When working on a team, what role do you typically take on? Please give me an example.
Yeah, so I think a great example, so the role I usually take on is the organizer. I usually organize when we're meeting. I usually do the PowerPoint in terms of organization and just slide design. And that's usually, like, I'm usually a pretty good communicator. I've already given you, like, those two groups that I've worked on are both good examples, but another example could be this year. We had our sophomore investment banking case comp for F210. And in that group, while I might not have been the smartest individual in terms of my finance knowledge or my knowledge on the topic, I was able to organize events with our entire group and definitely find times that worked for us to all meet. And I think that that's something I do effectively because I always try to take the lead in terms of the group, in terms of organizing things, because while I don't think I can contribute in other ways, I think that organization and communication is one of my strong suits.
All right. How do you feel you can add value and innovation in moving this company or industry forwards?
Yeah, I think that I have a super creative mindset. While I am just a business major, I definitely think that I'm more creative than most of my business counterparts. I think that my creativity, especially in terms of like design and kind of like, especially my strengths in PowerPoint, is something that could definitely propel the company forward. In terms of making better like pitch decks, whether it's for like a client or like slideshows. I also think that I have a very young mindset on things compared to a lot of my counterparts, and I have a very entrepreneurial mindset as well, and I think that that's something that could benefit the business.
How would a supervisor or someone who knows you well describe you?
Yeah, I would say I'll take the someone who knows me well. I think someone who knows me well would probably describe me as someone who's hardworking, intelligent, and always willing to get like the job done. While I'm not always the smartest person in every room I walk into, I'm always willing to work hard in terms of putting in hours after time or kind of like really honing in on the skill set